All right, good evening, everybody. Commission Ace Coach 704, PEL Primetime Elite League, March 27th. It is time for PEL Live once again, and we got a lot to do tonight, so I'm going to try not to ramble on too much about stuff, and as soon as I get this thing posted in the chat, we'll be ready to roll, and we are about to post it. And bam, there it is. Alright, so we're going to start out with week 6 predictions by Daddy Leagues, and then we're going to look at the Daddy Leagues power ranking. Well, I'm sorry, the power rankings that I did. I'll break those down in a little bit further detail, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so Cowboys Redskins is the first prediction. Daddy Leagues is predicting the Redskins to win 24-23 in a very close game. Cowboys trying to break the slide that they've been on, and the Redskins are trying to maintain pace in a NFC East that's been topsy-turvy all year long, interestingly enough. The Eagles and the Giants at the bottom, and you got these two fighting to be at the top, which is totally different than what we're used to. But I'm glad to see that both of these teams have turned their fortunes around and are contending to win the division. All right, we got a game that's been completed, Bears-Lions, and the Lions pulled this out 17-3. Daddy Leagues predicted this game to be a 25-25 tie, so obviously that didn't happen. So when you look at the breakdown, of course, we always look at turnovers. The Bears had 3, the Lions had none, took care of the football, and the defense for the Lions played really well, only giving up 127 total yards to the Bears in the game. Of course, the reigning MVP, Brad Kaya, did a great job once again being efficient with the football. And Mitch Trubisky, once again, had another game where he struggled with 3 interceptions. Bears are sticking with him, but I started looking for an upgrade if it was up to me. Jefferson, really good receiver, had 2 touchdowns in a big game there for the Lions. And then defensively, we should have some guys that stood out here, and we do. Mr. Davis had 2 sacks for the Lions, and this guy had 1.5, and we had a couple more going down the line. And we had a few interceptions right there for the Lions as well. But no defensive touchdowns. All right, so congrats to the Lions on that victory, and they're starting to turn their season around. They had a little rough start, but now they're starting to get things in gear. All right, Patriots Jets. We do have a Jets owner. Had some issues with his invite earlier in the week. We had to resend it. Patriots should be back from his 40th birthday celebration. Congrats to him, and thank you to the Jets for giving us a shot in the league. So Daddy Leagues believes the Jets will win this game 28-25. Close game in the AFC East is the projection for the Patriots and Jets. Titans Texans, that is my second PSN on the Texans. The Texans are the only opening we have in the league. I chose to remove the Texans due to a forced win debate, let's say, in the previous game. So the main thing about being in the PEL is having the right attitude, and I didn't think he had the right attitude to continue on in the league. So we are looking for a new Texans owner, and this will be a force for the Titans as a result of that. All right, Saints Vikings, should be a pretty good NFC matchup here. Let's see what Daddy Leagues thinks once I can find the right link for the game, which for some reason I'm having there. No, where is it? There we go. Okay. All right, so Daddy Leagues believes Minnesota will defeat New Orleans 30-18. And the Vikings have been playing really good defense all year long. That's been the reason why they're undefeated, and they are number 2 in the power rankings that I did, and we'll talk about them a little more later on. But the Saints present some challenges. They were a playoff team last year, and they did win in the first round. So I think this could be a pretty good game up in Minnesota. All right, this is a sneaky good game right here. The Buccaneers taking on the Browns, and I believe this is the Daddy Leagues game of the week. Daddy Leagues predicts the Buccaneers to win over the Browns 22-19 in a close game, and the Bucs have been able to win games all year long since he's joined, and this will be the toughest test that they've had so far. going up against the Super Bowl champs in Cleveland. The Browns bounced back from a tough little stretch where they had lost 2 in a row. They came back and defeated the Ravens last week 23-10, and we'll see if they can continue their winning ways with the new man on the block who's trying to make some noise. We'll see what happens. All right, another good NFC game right here. We got the Cardinals going on the road to take on the Carolina Panthers. And we'll see what Daddy Leagues thinks. And Daddy Leagues is predicting a touchdown victory for the Cardinals, 28-22. Cardinals coming off an early bye week, and the Panthers trying to get back into the winning swing of things. They had not a sim loss, a forced loss last week after the game disconnected at halftime with the Buccaneers. So we'll see how the Battle of the Cats shakes out in Carolina. 2 pretty good teams going at it. Once again, we got another good matchup right here. We got the Chargers going on the road to take on the Jaguars. And both of these guys should know each other pretty well. They've been in the PEL for a long time. Daddy Leagues is predicting the Chargers to defeat the Jaguars 26-22. Despite the commentary I've heard from Deontay regarding some of the things in the league settings, football is played in a way where you get tired when, you do things on the football field. And that's why fatigue is the way it is. Even when you come back from halftime, you are not at 100% capacity, because after you played a half of football, you're a little worn down. And anyone that's played football knows that's the case. So that's why fatigue is the way it is. It's realistic. This is real life football, real life settings, and we try to tune it that way. Should be a good game in Jacksonville. All right. The Rams are going on the road to take on the Seahawks. The Rams did not play their game last week, and I'm hoping that the communication will improve this week as they get ready to play the Seahawks. Daddy Leagues is predicting a Seahawks victory. A little closer than I thought Daddy Leagues would predict it. 27-22 is the projection for this game. And the Seahawks have really devastating defense, and not knowing how good the Rams user is because he hadn't played yet. We'll see how this shakes out. But, Seattle has some really good defensive talent, and it'll be a challenge for the Rams. They do have some talent on that team, but it will take a really good effort in Seattle to knock the Seahawks off. Colts and the Broncos, AFC matchup. Let's see what Daddy Leagues thinks on this one. And what we got is the Colts are projected to win over the Broncos in a close game, 28-26. It'll be real interesting to see, how the Broncos bounce back. Deontay came back and really put it to him last week. But the Colts play a unique style. We'll see how the Broncos adjust to that style. And this is a pretty important early season game for both teams, because you don't want to fall too far back in those divisions, which are really competitive this year. All right, second matchup between the Raiders and the Chiefs. The first one did not go very well for the Raiders, but they're looking for a little bit of redemption this time as they travel to Kansas City. Daddy Leagues is predicting a 32-11 victory for the Chiefs over the Raiders. The Chiefs last week lost at home to the Titans, and they've been up for most of the season, but that one was a little downer. But we'll see if their offense can get back in order this week with the Raiders coming to town. All right, Giants and the Eagles. I hope they're able to play. The Eagles owner has been kind of busy, and he's been a really good player in the past. So typically this game is for first place in the division, but hadn't shaken out that way yet this season. But Daddy League is projecting the Giants to win 32-30. If they are able to play, this will be a good game to watch. The Giants got a force over the Texans. Well, previous Texans owner. The Eagles are really good on defense when they play. The Giants are a good offensive player, and they can use her pretty well on defense. So that's a good Sunday night football matchup on PBS. We can't afford NBC. We're on PBS in the PEL. Just so you know. All right. Next matchup, we got the Bengals going on the road to Miami to take on the Dolphins in a interesting AFC matchup. Daddy Leagues is projecting the Dolphins to win this game 28-19. watched some of the Bengals play last week against the Falcons. He's a new guy. I didn't get a real good assessment because their quarterback got knocked out for the game, and that hurt them a lot. But the way Miami plays, the heavy run game with Sullivan, the Bengals will have to stop the run first and foremost before anything else to have a shot in this one. All right, and finally we got the Steelers going against the Ravens. The Steelers have been pretty quiet. They've been busy. I've talked to him. He says he's going to play. He wants to play. So I expect this game to happen. Natty League says the Steelers are going to win 32-22. I haven't seen the new Ravens play yet, but he was pretty competitive against the Browns last week, which gives me an indicator that, he's a pretty decent player. So I expect this to be a game. I really do think the Ravens have a shot here. And this is a game they have to win if they're going to compete in the division. If the Steelers are able to pull this off, it starts becoming that two-team race that we see, or we have seen a lot of in the AFC North throughout the duration of the PEL. All right, so that's the Week 6 predictions. Let's jump to our next topic. And I'm going to put it on the news tab here because I want to talk about the power rankings that just came out yesterday. I'm going to go into a little more depth about those. So let me jump to that little screen right here. All right, so what we do is we do the power rankings 3 times a year, and then the final edition of the power rankings is the Owners Award Show. We haven't done an Owners Award Show in a little while because we've had some fluctuation in the league, and I don't like to mainly make fun of people if I don't really know them. Long story short, we had someone that was a bit of a stalker last Madden that got booted, and it was a mess. But anyways, I try to save that for when we're really in a really good place and we have stability within the league, and I think we're getting there. All right, so number 1 are the 49ers. The 49ers lost in the Super Bowl last year to the Browns. They have been dominant all year long when you look at their scores come across. And when they get in the playoffs, I think the year before they got knocked out in the NFC Championship game. So it's kind of like a progression. This year they should win the Super Bowl, but if they don't, then, we're going to start getting that old Marty Schottenheimer choker label. No pressure, Levi, at all. None at all. Number 2 are the Vikings. I played them myself a little while back. They are a very good defensive team. And they do enough on the offensive side of the ball. They're pretty conservative on offense, but they try to play to their strength, their low turnover, and they let the defense win games pretty much. And there's nothing wrong with that, and they're undefeated because of that. Number 3 are the Packers. I hadn't seen the Packers play yet. They've been getting the benefit of either force or sim wins so far. So I don't have a lot to say. The way I rank teams, I do like to give credit to undefeated teams because that shows that you're really doing something well. So that's why they're number 3. But we'll see. Their time is coming. They got some matchups on their schedule that are going to give them a test, especially in the Vikings in their own division, as a matter of fact. Number 4, I've got the Chargers. They have played, pretty well overall. They do have the one loss, but, based on reputation, of course, in the PEL, he's deserving of this spot, for sure. Number 5, yours truly, the Bills. We had a tough loss to the Vikings, but outside of that, I think the team's played really well, especially on defense. Defense has been playing lights out. Offensively, we've been up and down, and we got to build our consistency if we're gonna, number 1, win the AFC East again, and then number 2, get a high seed in the playoffs. 6, we got the Dolphins, and of course they are led by Fernando Sullivan on the ground, a really good running back that's done great work since he got drafted last year. and they're going to be a threat. They lost I think they had a sim loss against the Packers, that kind of hurt, but they'll bounce back. They're going to be there in the end like they always are. 7, we have the Titans. They're off to a hot start. They're going to get another forced win tonight, and Cody was joking about that. But, hey, you take a win the way you can get it. Sometimes the schedule falls where you can make an advantage of it. And, they've been tough because of their defense. I watched some of that game against the Chiefs, and for them to shut the Chiefs down to 7 points with all the offensive weapons they have is a, real good sign that they're going to have a good season. And they won the division a little while back, and they're looking to try to do that once again. And they're going to have to fight out with our number 8 team, which is the Jags. And Kyle had a tough year a couple years back, but that was because he was busy and wasn't able to get in a rhythm playing. But now he's able to play on a regular basis once again, and he's in a race with Cody in that AFC South, and the Colts you're going to have to look out for as well in that division. Number 9 is the Chiefs, and you look at that roster. We went through the guys that were overall 99s last week on the live show. You can see that roster has a lot of talent, but sometimes it takes a little time to adjust, and it's been interesting to watch him play. I've seen him play a couple times. Sometimes you got to learn how to put all that talent in the right spot, and sometimes you got so much talent that you don't know what you want to focus on. You want to get everybody the ball, and then sometimes you just can't get everybody the ball. You just got to focus on a couple things, and then you'll be good. And then number 10, like I said before, the Buccaneers. They haven't lost since they've joined, and that's worthy of top 10 consideration for sure. Like I said, they've been beating up on some teams I think that are just okay. And their test is coming. Real soon, starting with this week in the Browns, and then going on down the line, they got some more tough guys to face. And then, you go through the rest of the power rankings. I just want to point out a couple of teams here. I think the Colts are doing a good job this year. That AFC South, I think that division is going to be a really fun battle to watch for all 17 weeks. The Cardinals are lower because they had a bye week, and that kind of worked against them in the quarter-1 power rankings, but that'll balance itself out. They're top 10 worthy, I believe. When you go through that NFC West, if you got a winning record, you deserve to be top 10 consideration. And you keep scrolling through here. The Cowboys, they got off to a hot start, but now they're kind of struggling. They lost a couple in a row. That Redskins game is a big one. We'll see if they can bounce back there. Seahawks are a team to watch. They are a really good defensive team, like we talked about before. They have a lot of talent on that side of football. We'll see how they shape out going down the line. Got to watch out for the Lions. The Lions are starting to get hot. He's got a lot of offensive talent, and that's been a very good team for you guys that don't know. The previous Lions owner won 2 Super Bowls with that roster, and Aaron's a really good offensive player. And the thing that's surprising me is his defense that's doing well. If he's able to get that going, he can challenge in that NFC North as well with the Packers and the Vikings. And then let's see. That's pretty much all I want to note on those guys that are outside the top 10. We always try to feature the top 10 in the power rankings, and then after that, if we talk about them live, I'll try to feature a couple other guys that we didn't break down on that. All right, so let's take a look at some early season division races and see how things are starting to shake out for the first time in season 6. Let's see. We'll start in the AFC. All right, AFC North. Oh, good gracious. So the Steelers are somehow at the top of the division at 3-2, but I don't think they've played but 1 or 2 games this year. Browns at 2-2, of course, defending champs. Of course, they're in it. And then even the 0-5 teams, the Ravens and the Bengals, you're still in it. If you're able to beat these head-to-head games right here, you can easily get back in this race because no one's really running away with it right now. So you guys still have a shot, but you got to get going pretty quickly. 9-7 could win the division at this rate, but we'll see. Steelers and the Browns are both really good players, and they've been perennial playoff teams in the PEL for this Madden. AFC South, like I said, this is a 3-team race right here between the Titans, Jags, and Colts. I think the Texans are already out of it, honestly. When you got 3 teams with winning records and you're 0-5, you just might as well start planning for next season. We'll see how these 3 fight it out. They've had this division's been interesting. Either these guys have all been pretty good, or they've all sucked at the same time. So their records are usually around the same. So either they bring up their own competition or they play down to each other. But like I said, this is going to go for 17 weeks, and we'll see who's there at the end. And we could have a wild card come out of this division also. All right, AFC East. We got myself at 4-1, and then the Dolphins 3-2, Jets 2-3, Pats 1-4. All these guys, when I play them, I know it's going to be a game. The Jets have really good talent. The Patriots, in his style, you got to adjust the way you do things because it's just totally different. And then the Dolphins style, we know each other pretty well, so. Like last year in the first game, he blew me out, and then the second game we came back and we were able to play really well on defense and get like 5 interceptions and win. So you don't know what you're gonna get week in and week out, but every game is a battle in this division. And I gotta see the new Jets play. I think I play him in 2 weeks, so we'll see how he can affect this race that's going on. All right, AFC West. I think it's a 2-team race now. Deontay coming back and beating the Browns pretty well. The Broncos pretty well. I think kind of solidified the fact that it's between the Chargers and the Chiefs, but the Broncos are a team that you can't sleep on at all. And the Raiders, they got to stick with it and hope that schedule eases up. Because they played some really tough teams so far. I'm kind of surprised because I don't think they were a first place team last year. They're playing a tough schedule. But that'll ease up, going down the stretch. But 2-team race, I think, between the Chargers and the Chiefs here. I think they, I know the Chiefs won 1 game against the Chargers. I don't think they've played yet again. So we'll see how that shakes out. All right, jumping to the NFC. Here's that NFC North, and you see the Vikings and the Packers are both 5-0, right now. When those two play, of course, it's going to be a big game. That should be a game of the week for Daddy Leagues. And then you got the Lions sitting at 3-3. Like I said, they won 2 in a row. You can see that right there. So they're starting to turn things around. Then the Bears at 1-4. I'm telling you, man, you got to find someone else at quarterback. I haven't seen a lot of trades, if any, so far this year. Usually a segment on here as we break down trades that have been made. I don't think any trades have been made. So I think you can reach out and try to find a quarterback if you're Chicago. Just my honest opinion. NFC South, there's the Buccaneers we were just talking about at 4-1. In charge of the division right now. They defeated the Falcons and Panthers head-to-head so far. And then the Saints at 2-2. All these guys are at 500 or above. And this division is kind of like the AFC South. Either they all play pretty well or they all don't play too well. So the Falcons playing better. They've won 2 in a row since that Buccaneers loss. We'll see, how this will come out in the end. But Tampa's got some important games to play. And then if these guys don't beat up on each other, we should have a good race coming down the stretch here. NFC East, we just talked about how this division is a little topsy-turvy. You got the Redskins on top at 3-2, and then you got the Cowboys and Giants at 2-3, and the Eagles at 1-3. Forced losses for the Eagles. The Giants had a forced win last week. Cowboys have lost 3 in a row. And the Redskins lost 1 in a row. But they still got time to... you don't know what's going to happen in this division. It's going to be really fun to see. At the rate it's going, 8-8 might win it. So everyone out here is still in it. And we'll see if the Eagles are able to get some time back and then start playing games once again. If they are, it's their division to lose. But right now, everyone's in it. So you got a shot. Let's go get it. And then finally in the NFC West, you got the 49ers at 5-0. And then the Cardinals, I just talked about at 3-1. Really deserve to be in the top 10 of the rankings. Seahawks at 1-3. Don't be deceived by that. They played some tough teams early. Like I said, their defense is still really, really good. And then the Rams at 0-5. They got a lot of work to do to try to catch up to the rest of the division. All right. So that leaves us 5 minutes left in the show. Usually I open this up for any questions. I only got one person live right now. Let's take a look at transactions and see what we got here as far as trades. Look at that. No transactions in week 6. No trades? Come on, man. Y'all get 2 trades for the regular season. I guess everyone likes what they got. Maybe I'll post some stuff in breaking news. In the breaking news chat, you can post guys that you got on the block. And take a look and see if someone may have somebody you want. If you need something on your team, go ahead and feel free to check that out. I'm going the wrong way here. Alright, last week we had, of course, some good games played. Just going over the scores real quick to finish up the show. We can talk about that Browns-Ravens game. Then the Browns won that one 23-10. Lions over the Cowboys 31-13. That was Dallas' 3rd straight loss. And there's Minnesota with another shutout, 35-0 over the Redskins. That was a force for the Bucks. There's a shutout for the 49ers, 30-0. 2 shutouts in 1 week. We hadn't had that in a while. There's the big win we were talking about with Deontay and the Chargers winning over the Broncos 48-21. Falcons big over the Bengals. Bengals quarterback got hurt in that game, 38-14. This was a force for the Jaguars. And then we mentioned the Titans going into Kansas City and holding them to only 7 points with a very talented Kansas City offense. All right. So let me go back to the news tab because the last thing I want to talk about is in regards to scheduling games. All right. We've talked about this before. When you schedule games, number one, you want to do it early so you have the maximum time to try and get the game in, of course. Number 2, set a time. Make sure that you and your opponent agree on a set time to play. All right. Number 3, if someone misses that set time and then no one else is able to play, then the person that missed will get the forced loss. All right. That's simple. I try to make scheduling and forces really simple. And then people try to debate with me about it. And to be honest with you, it's not really a debate. You set a time. If you can't make the time, you try to reschedule, of course. But if the person makes plans, because we all have lives, and people don't just sit around and make themselves available to play Madden. And if they can't reschedule to play, then it is what it is. Now, if they're lying or whatever, there's no way I can go and look at their life and say, he's lying or he's, just saying that to get a force. Nah, that's not how we do things. If we see a pattern, then that's addressed. But, you're here to play. You're not here to just try to get force wins and force yourself to the playoffs. We have a rule. Actually, if you don't play 3 games in a row, it's an automatic boot to prevent, that kind of thing from happening. So just make sure when you schedule games, you get a set time. Don't just say you're going to be available after 6. No, make a set time to play. That way everyone's clear. You're ready to play at that time. And then if something happens, 95% of the guys in this league will try to reschedule with you. It's no problem at all. Most of the guys have been here a long time and they're here to play. They're not here to try to get forces. That's not what we're about. So just keep that in mind, guys. Set a time to play, and then I really would like you to post that time that you're going to play. I try to do that with all my games, just to set an example. But you don't have to, but I would like, you guys to do that so everyone's clear on when you're playing and it's agreed to, and we don't have stupid back and forths about force wins and such, because that really irritates me. If you want to irritate me, argue about forces, because that'll get to me, and we don't have a lot of time for that. We have good guys in here with the right attitude that don't think Madden is life. and they're here to have fun playing an interactive league where we do, a little bit more than what most leagues do. Now, some leagues do some amazing things, like Madden Bomber League. They're getting stuff streamed on the EA channel, and they do an amazing job. We'd like to think that we do pretty good. We've been top 20 on Daddy Leagues for, a number of days and weeks in the past. And we try to, keep consistent content going all Madden season. So I appreciate you guys once again for all being here. That's my time. It's 30 minutes on the live show. Appreciate you watching. If you're not watching it live, you can watch the replay as always. Have a good night, guys, and a good tomorrow. Thanks.